Hello enthusiasts, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about one of the most eye-catching traits in cannabis plants, purple buds. We're going to explore a range of topics that will help us figure out what actually causes cannabis buds to turn purple and how color pigments work inside the plant. Before we begin, we just want to remind everyone that this video is for educational purposes only. We're here to break down plant science and growing techniques, not to promote or sell cannabis. Please follow your local laws and regulations. Now let's get back to today's video. Chapter 1. What actually causes cannabis to turn purple? At the core of this entire conversation is one key group of compounds called anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are pigments found in plants, and they're responsible for the red, purple, and blue colors you see in things like blueberries, red cabbage, grapes, and autumn leaves. In cannabis, these pigments exist naturally within the plant's tissues, where they're produced as part of the plant's normal metabolic processes. They help protect the plant from environmental stress, like excess light and temperature changes, while also playing a role in overall plant health. But just because the plant has anthocyanins doesn't mean you'll see purple buds. Color expression depends on whether those pigments become visible, and that's influenced by both genetics and environmental conditions. For example, strains with strong purple genetics, like Granddaddy purple or purple Kush, are much more likely to express these colors naturally. And when those genetics are paired with environmental factors like slightly cooler nighttime temperatures during flowering, the purple hues can become even more pronounced. Now, normally, cannabis plants appear green because of chlorophyll, which is the dominant pigment responsible for photosynthesis. This happens because chlorophyll absorbs most wavelengths of light, especially red and blue, but reflects green light back to our eyes. Since it's present in such high amounts compared to other pigments, it essentially masks the colors underneath, making the plant appear green overall. But as chlorophyll breaks down or becomes less dominant, other pigments like anthocyanins can start to show through. That's when you begin to see those purple, red, or even blue hues emerge in the buds and leaves. Chapter 2. Understanding plant pigments. When we talk about purple cannabis, we also need to take a step back and understand something a little more fundamental. Plant pigments. Cannabis, like all plants, doesn't just contain one pigment. It actually contains three working together at the same time: chlorophyll, carotenoids, and anthocyanins. What's interesting is that these pigments are always present inside the plant, even when you don't see them. The reason most plants appear green is because chlorophyll is so dominant that it masks the other pigments underneath. But when chlorophyll levels drop, or when environmental conditions shift, those hidden pigments can start to show through. Chapter 3. The role of genetics. If there's one factor that matters more than anything else when it comes to purple buds, it's genetics. Some cannabis strains are genetically predisposed to produce high levels of anthocyanins that can naturally develop purple coloration, even under normal growing conditions. Classic examples include strains like Granddaddy purple, purple Kush, and certain phenotypes of gelato or runts. On the other hand, some strains simply don't have that capability. You could expose them to every environmental trick in the book: colder temperatures, nutrient changes, stress, and they'll still stay green. This is actually one of the biggest misconceptions among growers. You cannot force a non-purple strain to turn purple. You can only enhance what's already genetically possible. Chapter 4. Temperature and environmental influence. You've probably heard that dropping nighttime temperatures during flowering can bring out the purple. And while there's some truth to that, it's often misunderstood. Cooler temperatures can slow down chlorophyll production and accelerate its breakdown. When that happens, the green color fades slightly, allowing anthocyanins to become more visible. This is similar to what happens in autumn when leaves change color. As temperatures drop and daylight decreases, chlorophyll breaks down, revealing reds, purples, and yellows underneath. In cannabis, a moderate drop in nighttime temperatures during late flowering can have a similar effect, but only if the plant has the genetics for it and never to the point where the plant slows down or shows signs of stress. However, keep in mind there's a fine line here. If temperatures drop too low, you're no longer enhancing color. You're stressing the plant. And stress comes with consequences. Now that we've covered some background on today's topic, we just wanted to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, the Exhale Homegrown CO2 Company. They offer one of the most practical and reliable ways to introduce natural carbon dioxide into your grow. For over 20 years, Exhale has taken the science of fungal respiration and turned it into a clean, controlled, and highly effective solution for indoor gardening. Each bag is thoughtfully designed to meet the needs of real-world growers, from small home tents to fully sealed commercial rooms. It's a true plug-and-play system. Just hang the bag above your canopy and the fungi inside get to work, producing a steady stream of CO2. This is possible because inside each bag is a proprietary substrate that serves as the fungi's food source, along with a patented non-fruiting mycelium strain developed specifically for steady, reliable respiration. What really sets Exhale apart is that they were the first to bring the CO2 bag concept to market. Their innovation helped create an entirely new category of grow room products that many others would later follow. While plenty of imitators have entered the market, none match Exhale's consistency or quality. That's why every product carries the original CO2 bag seal. So when you see that label, you know you're getting proven performance. For more information about Exhale and their products, go to the video summary and visit their website at exhaleco2bags.com. While you're there, be sure to check out our promo code from Exhale. It's a great way to save some money if you're ready to give passive CO2 a try in your grow space. Now let's get back to today's topic. Chapter 5. Stress versus natural expression. Let's take a closer look at plant stress, because this is where a lot of confusion comes in. Cannabis plants respond to environmental stress by shifting how they allocate energy and resources. For example, instead of focusing purely on growth and flower development, the plant begins activating protective mechanisms. One of those responses can include increased production or visibility of pigments like anthocyanins. Anthocyanins act as a form of protection for the plant. So when a plant experiences cooler temperatures or environmental pressure, it may increase anthocyanin expression as a defensive response. But here's where it becomes important to understand the difference between a signal and actual stress. Mild environmental changes, like slightly cooler nighttime temperatures, can act as a signal that encourages natural pigment expression, especially in strains that are already genetically capable of turning purple. However, excessive stress pushes the plant beyond optimal function. And when that happens, processes like photosynthesis, nutrient uptake, and overall metabolism begin to slow down. So while stress can sometimes bring out color, it can also come at a cost. That's why the goal isn't to stress the plant into turning purple. The goal is to create an environment where the plant can thrive and allow its natural genetic traits, including color, to express themselves without sacrificing overall quality. Chapter 6. The role of pH and nutrient availability. Another factor that can influence pigment expression is pH. Anthocyanins are actually sensitive to pH levels, which means the color they display can shift depending on the acidity or alkalinity of their environment. In more acidic conditions, anthocyanins tend to appear red or purple, while in more alkaline conditions, they can shift toward blue tones. However, this doesn't mean you should start manipulating your grow's pH just to chase color. Cannabis has a relatively narrow pH range where it thrives. In soil, that's typically around 6.0 to 7.0, and in hydroponics, slightly lower. If you push your pH outside of that optimal range, you risk nutrient lockout, deficiencies, and overall plant stress. In other words, trying to force color through pH manipulation is not worth it. As healthy plants in the correct pH range will always naturally express whatever colors their genetics allow. Chapter 7. Do purple buds mean stronger cannabis? Now let's address one of the biggest myths out there. Does purple cannabis mean it's more potent? The short answer is no. The color doesn't directly influence potency. As mentioned earlier, the buds being purple comes from anthocyanins, not cannabinoids like THC or CBD. Furthermore, anthocyanins are antioxidants, not psychoactive compounds. Plant potency is determined by cannabinoid content, primarily THC and other cannabinoids produced in the trichomes, not color. Chapter 8. Flavor, terpenes, and purple buds. Another interesting question is whether purple buds taste and smell better. The answer is sometimes, but not because of the color itself. Flavor in cannabis comes from terpenes, not pigments. However, certain strains that produce purple coloration also tend to have unique terpene profiles. This has led to the assumption that purple equals a certain flavor, but in reality, it's just a correlation, not a cause. Chapter 9. The visual appeal and market perception. There's no denying it. Purple cannabis looks incredible. From a visual standpoint, it stands out. It grabs attention. And in a market where appearance matters, that can have real value. For growers and brands, purple buds can be a way to differentiate products and attract consumers. But again, it's important not to let appearance override quality. A perfectly grown green bud with strong terpene expression and high cannabinoid content will always outperform a mediocre purple one. Chapter 10. Common mistakes growers make when chasing purple. One of the biggest mistakes growers make is trying to force color instead of letting it happen naturally. Dropping temperatures too low, pushing the plant into stress, or even trying to manipulate nutrients in ways that hurt overall health. In some cases, growers will actually reduce their yield and resin production just to get a bit more color. And the irony is, that purple color might look great, but the overall quality of the flower can suffer. The best cannabis comes from healthy plants grown in balanced conditions, regardless of whether the buds are green, purple, or somewhere in between. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of today's episode. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Also, let me know in the comments below. I would love to know. Have you ever grown a purple strain, or tried to bring out purple in your plants? And did it actually make a difference? Or just change how it looked? Thanks for watching today's educational video. And as always, keep being awesome. And stay curious, my friends.